Today we're going to be making something that I made for the very first time ever, and it is so good. I can't wait for you guys to try it. It uses the September harvest of the month, black Splendor Plums. Hopefully you guys have all gotten to try those in your meal bags on Wednesday. They're so delicious. But here is what we're making today. We're going to make black plum jam. Since we will be using a knife and we will also be needing to cook on the stove top, you must have a parent or guardian help you make this recipe. So let's get started.
Alright, let's start with the materials and ingredients we're going to need. First, we're going to need a cutting board, and then we're going to need a knife. Next, we'll get a jar. You can use an old jar. I used an old pickle jar, whatever you have at home. And then grab some measuring cups. Next, we're going to need plums. I used 4, but if you have smaller ones, you might want to use 5. Then we're going to need a sweetener. I used honey, but if you have sugar at home, that works just as fine. And then finally, we need a lemon, or if you just have lemon juice, whichever you have in your pantry. So now that we have all of these ingredients, we can get started. The very first thing you're going to want to do is wash your hands with warm water and soap for 20 seconds. And then you wash your fruit with warm water for 20 seconds, but no soap needed in that step. Okay, so as you can see with round fruit, it gets kind of hard to cut because it moves around. It's a little bit slippery from me washing it. So what I find is the flattest surface, and that's what I put on the bottom. And then you use bear claw, which is when you just kind of fold your fingertips underneath so that way you don't risk cutting a little bit of them because they might get in the way. You cut the plum in half first, break it apart. You can see the seed in that half. And so we're going to want to cut the seed out, but first I'll cut this half and we're going to make it into a little bit smaller pieces so it's easier to cook down. And make sure you're still using bear claws as we go on. And it is slippery because you start getting liquid on your cutting board, so be careful of that. Now we're going to cut the seed out. I still use bear claw, and we just cut around it. That's the easiest for me. For this recipe, we need 2 1/2 cups of plums, and for me that was around 4 plums total. So after you measure out your plums, then you're going to take honey, and you're going to need 1 cup of honey or sugar. I'm using 1/3 cup measuring, so I'm going to need to add 3 of them. Now we're going to add our lemon juice, and we need 1.5 tablespoons of lemon juice. And I didn't have a lemon, so I just used this little lemon juice that I had in my refrigerator. Then as time goes on, you're just going to want to stir occasionally as the plums start to cook down. You can see it boils a little bit. It's on medium heat, so I just keep it on medium heat. But as time goes on and it starts to boil more, the plums will actually change colors like that. And so you can turn it down to low heat at that point. And then you're just going to take a fork or a potato masher. I used a fork because I don't have a potato masher. And you're just going to squish down all of the plums until they are as smooth as possible. So after you finish smashing all of the plums, you're getting closer to being done. It's starting to thicken more, so the way that you can tell if it's done is when you draw a line in the pan with your spoon and the jam doesn't automatically fill that line. That means it's thick enough. So then when it's all done, you're going to take it, and I just spooned it into the jar, and whichever way is easiest for you, but I thought this was just easy to spoon it in. And then you're all done and ready to go, and then just put it in your refrigerator.
Okay, so I put my jam in the refrigerator for a few hours just to let it cool down, and I plan on using it on a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch. You could also just put on a piece of toast or try it by itself, whatever you guys want to do, but that's what I'm going to do. And I also just want to see what it turned out like, to see the texture after it cooled down, and maybe smell it and look at it with you guys. This is the ending texture that you should have. So it's a little bit lumpy, but that's okay. If you like it less lumpy, you can put it in the blender to blend out some of those lumps, or just use a fork to push it down a little more. I kind of like it lumpy. It smells really good. I tried it a little bit earlier, and to me it tasted more tart than sweet. The jams that I get in the store usually taste more sweet to me. This one was a little more tart, which could be because we use plums, or it could be because we use less sweetener than the ones in the grocery stores. Overall, I really like this jam. I hope you guys like it too. Please, if you do try the jam, send me pictures, tell me how you liked it. I would love to hear from you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day.